As in a court trial, there are 4 steps in conducting a hypothesis test. The first step is to identify the population of interest and determine the null and alternative hypotheses. Let's look at an example. Suppose you want to know whether a coin is fair. You can't flip it endlessly, so you decide to take a sample. You flip the coin 5 times and count the number of heads and tails. The null hypothesis, which statisticians designate H sub 0, is what you assume to be true, unless proven otherwise. The null hypothesis is usually a hypothesis of equality. Your null hypothesis in this case is that the coin is fair. Suppose you suspect that the coin is not fair. This is the alternative hypothesis, which statisticians designate H sub A or H sub 1. The alternative hypothesis is typically what you suspect or are attempting to demonstrate. The alternative hypothesis is usually a hypothesis of inequality. The second step in hypothesis testing is to select the significance level. This is the amount of evidence needed to reject the null hypothesis. A common significance level is 0.05, 1 chance in 20. This is what you'll use in this course. If you require a stricter cutoff, you might consider lowering your significance level when planning your own analysis. For this example, if you observe 5 heads or 5 tails in a row, you conclude the coin is not fair, and you reject the null hypothesis. If you get a mix of heads and tails, you decide there isn't enough evidence to determine that the coin is not fair. Your third step is to collect the data. In this case, you flip the coin 5 times and record each outcome as a head or tail. You compute the sample statistic by counting the total number of heads. The fourth step in hypothesis testing is to evaluate the data using your decision rule. You decide whether or not there is enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis. In this example, you conclude whether the coin is fair.